Hello, dear friends. I put the title of this scoop in question marks while waiting for facts to confirm it, although there are already many sources who are talking about this subject. Opinion piece. Surrender in Antarctica. Did they gather just to see the eclipse? Penguins got a surprise. Elite meeting on Rothschild Island. Earth asked for a gradual repair. A global financial collapse is to be avoided. There would be a smooth economic transition. Disclosure would put an end to all this immediately. New free energy technologies are to be deployed. But there would be no Christmas surprise because everything is gradual. Let's start. After Benjamin Fulford's revelation about the alleged elite meeting on Rothschild Island, which some took with skepticism, but which has generated much speculation, did they travel just to see an eclipse of the sun, right in the middle of their great restart? Dr. Michael Salla has confirmed and expanded on Fulford's scoop with an updated report published Thursday, entitled Click Leaders Go to Antarctica to Surrender to Coalition and Star Visitors. With temperatures averaging 25 to 40 degrees Celsius below zero this time of the year, Antarctica is the perfect winter getaway for cold-blooded megalomaniacs who just want to relax before doing naughty things. Just to get to Antarctica requires special government clearance, and that's if you can afford the exorbitant charter fees for a Russian icebreaker with a Russian crew. The fact is that most of what we know about Antarctica comes from unofficial sources and historical records. It is also a fact that the entire continent is shrouded in secrecy, and that any information coming out of the South Pole region is subject to censorship. Just look at Google Earth, where large parts of Antarctica are blurred. Antarctica is the highest landmass on Earth and the least explored, supposedly with a continental area, in quotes, the size of the US, filled with large green and explored forest and a land with abundance of natural resources, as written by Admiral Richard Byrd. What happens in Antarctica? Possibly there are portals, ships, exotic technology, unknown pyramids, visitors from the stars, subway cities, the Fourth Reich, etc. There was a Nazi-occupied New Swabia. Jean Decoit said Friday that, in quotes, what you do if you don't want to come out, if you won't want it to come out, is you take all of these paths before you take out the base. Then you take out all the passes that come into, so they can't run, and so you don't have to fight them again. Then you would be isolating by surrounding and cutting off their means of escape or their way of approaching from behind you. Close quotes. Rothschild Island. Rothschild Island is a rugged black island 39 kilometers long, mostly covered in ice but topped by very high peaks of the Disco Mountains in Antarctica, which are 8 kilometers west of the northern part of Alexander Island at the northern entrance to Wilkins Sound. The island was discovered from a distance by the French Antarctic expedition of 1908 to 1910, and named by Charcot after Baron Edward de Rothschild, head of France's Rothschild banking family and president of Rothschild Frères. Antarctic territories were claimed by the Nazis and by Queen Elizabeth. 7 sovereign states have made 8 territorial claims in Antarctica, which are Argentina, Chile, Australia, New Zealand, France, Norway, and the United Kingdom. These countries have tended to place their Antarctic scientific study and observation facilities within their respective claimed territories, and unclaimed countries such as India, Italy, Pakistan, Russia, Ukraine, and the US have built research facilities within areas claimed by other countries. Secret meeting. According to Dr. Michael Sala, it appears that the major turning point has been reached and that the elite have been summoned to Antarctica to meet with the delegation of outside race and coalition leaders to negotiate the terms of their supposed surrender. Antarctica was chosen for the meeting because it contains an interstellar portal that could transport them to a distant world. However, first they have to help transition the global financial system and undo much of what has been launched. It was agreed at the meeting that no major chaos would develop from these transfers of power, as an economic collapse would add even more suffering. They would be making sure that this transition causes as little damage as possible. Be prepared to witness amazing changes in new energy systems and in the deployment of technologies in many sectors. The elite convened there met with the elite delegation of leaders from different terrestrial and external organizations that would have been involved in the alleged Jupiter agreements signed in July 2021. The elites were required to come up with a plan for a smooth economic transition to a new, more equitable monetary policy system, as well as avoiding a global financial collapse. New system. Their presence and expertise indicated that what was being negotiated in Antarctica involved a new online payment system, which may explain the presence of representatives from Ripple Labs, which is a software company specializing in online payment systems. According to Nigel Mate, the upcoming QFS would be linked to a quantum internet that would be created through the Starlink satellite system created by Elon Musk's SpaceX. Ripple Labs would have the expertise to help plan a smooth transition from the current global financial system to a quantum QFS system linked to quantum cloud computing. Abandoning fossil fuels would be the key to unleashing many alternative energy technologies that would have been suppressed since the early 20th century. Similarly, many other suppressed technologies would also be launched. There are currently over 5,900 patents that would be suppressed in the US, alone due to the national security orders imposed by the intelligence community. This would be a great indicator of the drastic change of situation in our solar system with the expansion of the Draconian Empire, the great forces of Orion, and the Earthquake, which would be cut off from their former sponsors. Photon belt. Our solar system would have entered the region of space possessing a galactic anomaly that would greatly impact third density space. In 2014, scientists confirmed that our solar system was about to enter a large interstellar cloud called a local phase, which is approximately 30 light years wide and which is held together by a very large magnetic field. More third density collapse would occur as a bridge to fifth density. The dark ones knew that is happening. What is happening, I mean. And this is one of the reasons they knew they had lost this star system. The photon belt would be a huge region of space that gives off intense electromagnetic radiation across the visible spectrum and beyond into invisible high-frequency light, even including some X-ray spectra. This would be part of a magnetic flux of light throughout the galaxy. Reference has already been made through the media to a huge increase in the intensity of dangerous radiation entering through holes in the ozone layer in certain regions of our planet. It would seem that for mankind on this planet to encounter the photon belt would essentially be a spiritual experience, but this would depend on the individual human being. However, the real benefits of this phenomenon come from what is actually causing the photons. It is related to the so-called convergences. If we are sufficiently evolved at this time, there would be great advances in our consciousness as we become attuned to the higher frequencies. There would be a natural spiritual selection. All the sentient beings in the initial stages of encountering the photon belt would detect something strange, but when we fully enter, even the most hardened individuals would receive a full effect. There would be both a great enlightenment of consciousness and a great resistance to new ideas. This would be a period of awakening due essentially to the ascension cycle and planetary alignment. This phenomenon would reduce the veil that prevents us from seeing who we are. Effects. The psychological characteristics of entering the belt would be the effect of uprooting retained occult material, bringing it to the surface for transmutation. This would provide a great opportunity to make breakthroughs, but also where there is too much to handle, it would cause health problems. The more advanced views see the photon band as a being, a consciousness, that essentially has personality for change and action. It would present opportunities for change on a planet by adding new energies, and it would increase the flow of energy in the Earth's magnetic grids, attracting new ideas and energy. People would feel the need to transform, but those who consider this physical reality as their only expression would be reduced to greater fixations, blockages, and negativity. However, it would help to eradicate the self-destructive tendencies of a species. Even the densest person would be accelerated to a higher state of consciousness. The energy would encourage people to regain balance, but would cause more imbalances where it is resisted. Ecology. The photon belt would allow the planet to repair itself, because humans extract too much Mother Earth would harden the crust below the surface and draw its resources deeper into the core. Apparently, the photon belt wouldn't go away until humans used only surface resources. Scientists would find that subatomic particles would become more obvious and easier to detect. Electricity would be reduced and less available over the next 50 years. This would represent an energy depletion of the planet. The Earth would be acquiring new energy, and scientists would have to find new ways to work with it. They would even pay more attention to how love affects life and how its chemistry. There would be an expansion of the heart for the ascending group, but problems for the descending group. Everything is gradual. The Sun has reached the photon cloud before the Earth. If the Sun had reached the photon cloud before the Earth, 3 to 5 days of darkness would have occurred. However, if the Earth entered first, darkness would have been avoided, which seems to have happened now. Apparently, it may have been sudden enough to destroy civilization and heal the planet quickly, but Earth requested a very gradual repair. An outside source said that when our planet entered the bands, we would experience an immediate electrical shock, lasting about a tenth of a second, but it wouldn't be dangerous since we are moving very gradually. Thanks to Mother Earth, the gradual encounter of the photon belt would have been adjusted to give minimal suffering to humankind and provide maximum benefit to the greatest number of human beings. There appears to be an advanced civilization at the center of the Earth, but this particular civilization is on a parallel plane reached by entering electromagnetic corridors near the openings at the poles and in some other regions. Some humans would go with the more evolved Earth, while others would return to third density, which could separate their evolution for thousands of years. Free energy. Photon energy would become a major source of free energy, and the old world order would be unable to suppress its use. Visitors would assist in our transition during this event. It is claimed that they altered the basic polarity of the Sun years ago to maintain the integrity of the solar system. However, NASA's Ulysses space probe detected that the Sun's magnetic field no longer has north and south poles. It was discovered that the Sun's magnetic field has been drastically transformed into a homogeneous field. No scientific explanation was given, and of course, it would have been hidden from the public. In addition, the SOHO satellite more recently revealed that the Sun responded anomalously to the impact of cosmic bodies, causing an unprecedented 30 to 35 solar flares. News of the reset. There would be no Christmas surprises by Michael Murdoch, Navy veteran. My contacts have told me not to expect anything at Christmas, not even on New Year's Day. But I've also been told not to be surprised if anything happens, and the news flow in slower than it should be. It has been an incredibly strange year for all of us, and I can only pray that 2022 brings us freedom, prosperity, knowledge, wisdom, and love in our lives, and in the lives of those we love. Second, European power prices soar as France shuts down nuclear reactors. European benchmark power prices soared to a record high after Électricité de France was forced to close or extend the shutdowns of up to 4 nuclear reactors for safety reasons, just as demand soars during the winter. German electricity for next year jumped more than 10% following the announcement, with French power prices as of the week rising 20% in broker trading, while the January contract soared 36% on the European Energy Exchange. Third, EDF shares plunged after faults found at French nuclear power plant. EDF shares plunged Thursday after the French power giant found faults at one nuclear plant and shut another plant using the same type of reactors, prompting it to cut its headline profit target for this year. Fourth, automakers face microchip crisis for years. Automakers were wont to prepare for a global shortage of semiconductors, which could extend beyond next year. Once consultancy Roland Berger. Supply chain bottlenecks and production problems would complicate the car manufacturing process for companies such as General Motors and Volkswagen Group. Fifth, cargo ships under sail. The central bank is now pushing the idea that cargo ships will run on sails instead of fossil fuels. In the past, cargo ships were schooners. Inflation. Number 6. Inflation. The Fed is hiding the inflation forecast. It is now pushing the collapse narrative, and they have begun to push against the alternative currency. Seventh, Chinese court declares Bitcoin mining contracts invalid. A Beijing court rejected a claim for monetary damages for a Bitcoin mining operation in a case that suggests China has no intention of recognizing cryptocurrency related interests. Violet Flame. Saint Germain's Fans by Logan B. As has been said over the past few Christmases, this would finally be the Easter when the funds would be delivered to the world. The only thing different about this Christmas is that this time the duck has been giving the ultimatum to join us before Christmas or leave. The violet flame would transmutate the duck into light quickly and completely. They do not fear violence, they welcome it. They fear the violet flame. Sananda report. Humankind must understand that the laws of nature are repeatedly violated with all their consequences. The benevolent intergalactic community will reorder the current structure according to the laws of nature. The dark side elites are the founders of the ideology spawned from the reptilian mind of some visitors. It would be the spirit of selfishness, greed and complacency which doesn't respect any natural law. They keep technology locked in subway capes at the North Pole and send people to Mars to ensure the survival of the human species for their own use. Their ultimate goal would be to move you farther away from the divine source. Disclosure would put an immediate end to all this. Thanks a lot, dear friends.